ho, 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 ho. Merry Christmas, everybody. Ho, ho, ho. And welcome to a brand new episode of Dylan Knows Christmas Night Edition, episode 423, Christmas Night. It is Christmas night. Technically, it's only a half hour left of Christmas night until we get into Boxing Day, which is tomorrow. But I figured since I got in on time, and it is literally December 25th, 2021, figured why not? Let's get this over with and get done. I didn't know if I was going to do this last week or not, but I decided since my Christmas plans have changed dramatically, which I'll talk about in a little bit, I decided I may as well go ahead and do this. Enjoy my small vacation. I got one more day left of my vacation. Then I got to work 4 days, and I have another 3 days off. And then I have to work another 4 days. I have another 3 days off, so I'm taking a vacation day in early January to get my booster. And then after that, it's going to be full steam ahead for a while. So that's what's going down. It is currently on December 25th, 2021 in Reisterstown, Maryland. It is currently, and it's the fourth day of winter, it is currently 56 degrees out. Yes, we are in a warm trend right now. Let's see what temperature is going to be tomorrow. Tomorrow's going to be 54, which is the low presently. Actually, this says the low here is 54. So tomorrow's going to be 54 degrees. Then it's going to be 39 on Monday with rain, 48 on Tuesday with rain, 52 on Wednesday with rain, 54 on Thursday with rain, 46 on Friday for New Year's Eve, partly sunny. New Year's Day, rain, 46. Sunday, January 2nd, rain, 48, and Monday, January 3rd, sunny and 36 degrees for everybody to go back to school and work who are off this week. They have a nice chill 36-degree day coming up. Granted, that's 10 days out, so we'll see what happens when we're going on. So, what else we got going on this week? We got my take on Spider-Man No Way Home. I actually saw it. I have a lot of things I have to say about that. So I will warn you right now that I will be discussing many, many spoilers. It's been out for about a week now. And you've probably seen most of the spoilers, but I will be discussing most of that and some other news about Spider-Man as well. We'll be talking some trailers. I'm going to discuss how Die Hard 2 is better than Die Hard when it comes to Christmas movieing. Talk a little bit about your Democrats in charge who are actually doing a damn fine job despite what you all assholes are saying. Ravens continue to have some trouble, but they're not the only ones. We've got lots of food items. We've got some death. We've got a Michael Keaton sighting. We've got a bunch of pickle stuff. We've got a Good Samaritan. We've got the continuing rise of AIs. We have hot cocoa. A lot of hot cocoa. We've got an interesting story from where else? Florida. Tiger Woods returns. Scream is 25 is celebrating its 25th anniversary, and Tombstone is celebrating its 28th anniversary. We'll discuss that a little bit. And we'll get a little some Christmas stuff in here, but we're going to start moving ahead with some Valentine's Day stuff and early next year stuff. So. Buckle up, Buttercup. Nice, cool, refreshing eggnog. Okay. I'm not going to jump right out with that. So we'll get started with Christmas. May as well get started with personal stuff. I always tend to do that at the beginning of the show anyway, so let's do that. So Christmas week just happened. Christmas week started last weekend when I found out my father had COVID. He's been vaxxed and booster, but he still got some COVID because he and my stepmom thought they were going to be okay, and they went up to New York for a weekend, and obviously that's what he's blaming it on right now. But he's, again, as expected, if you're vaxxed and have the booster, the effects of the COVID are not too bad. Now, my dad's physician said that he should get the antibody stuff. And he tried, but they didn't have any left over, so he's just going to let it recover. He should be fine as of tomorrow. That's when his time is up for quarantine. So because of that, our plans for Christmas Day, which we were originally going to do, were my family and my sister's family were going to meet up at my dad's house, have our Christmas with them on Christmas morning, and then we go over to my Uncle Philip's house to have our typical Christmas Eve, not Christmas Eve, Christmas dinner there. And then my sister was going to pick up my mom and take her to their house for a few days. So that's still happening, but it's not quite happening the way we thought it was. So when my dad said he had COVID, he would not be able to do Christmas with us. So now we were just like, okay, we'll just meet up at Uncle Philip's house at 2:00 and have Christmas dinner without my dad and stepmom. Well, a few days later, my Aunt Mary Beth called and said, yeah, we're calling off Christmas because of COVID and other concerns as well. So I was like, okay, that's good. That's fine. It's probably the best thing to do. So our Christmas Day became fully open. Now, my sister actually sent her sons, my nephews, to pick up my mom to take her down to their house. So she's down there presently, be back on Tuesday. We're going to have, as of now, still scheduled to have Christmas with her on New Year's Eve, next Friday, or this upcoming Friday, I should say. And then New Year's Day, we were doing my in-law stuff. The 23rd was the last day of school for my kids. They had a half a day. Last day of work for me for the week. I had a half a day. We had our typical Christmas party. Now, usually what we do is at my work, we have a fancy Christmas party earlier in the month of December, and then we have a Secret Santa leisurely Christmas morning sort of lunch, brunch sort of thing. We don't really do much and give out Secret Santa gifts, and then we leave early after that. But we didn't do the fancy meal, so they decided to have our lunch catered on the 23rd. So we got, I think it was Olive Grove, a really nice local restaurant. We had crab cakes and filet and chicken and pasta salad and regular salad and I think potatoes and soda and dessert, stuff like that. So they also rented some tables and nice tablecloths, and we stopped work and had a nice meal and did our Secret Santa stuff. Those who decided to participate, and then we left. So I left about, I guess, 12:30ish, I guess. So that was good. And then we did some shopping. Couldn't find what I was looking for. So I was like, damn, I'm about to go someplace else on Christmas Eve because I didn't really feel like doing any more shopping. So I came home and just sort of relaxed the rest of the day. My wife worked a full day and then she came back, but she's off for the rest of the week. She's got to go in on Tuesday just for some coverage because McCormick is still running a little bit there. So she's going to do that on Tuesday. Christmas Eve, our tradition we usually have is my mother-in-law and father-in-law come to our house and we go to like early mass, like 4:30, 5 o'clock. And then we come back to our house for a nice dinner, usually fish related, Feast of the Seven Fishes, seafood related, stuff like that, hors d'oeuvres and stuff like that. But because our house is a complete wreck right now and the cat, had been going to the bathroom in the living room or the dining room. We put the litter boxes up there, so it's just a big kind of mess up there. So we decided we didn't want to have dinner at our house, but we could go out to dinner. So we decided to meet up at the Harriman House, which is a old school fancy restaurant up here on Main Street, not too far from us. 5:30 on for a early dinner because the mass schedule had the early mass at a off-site location that wasn't a church, and we didn't really feel like, and it's further up the road. It's about 10 minutes up the road, and I didn't feel like really going to that. And didn't feel Christmassy, and it was whatever. So we wanted to go to the church. We're gonna have the typical evening thing. So they had an 8 o'clock mass at the church. So we decided we'd have our dinner early. So we met up at 5:30 at Harriman House. Had a really nice dinner there. They put us in the back room by ourselves, which was great. Really nice back rooms, like a wine cellar sort of thing. It was really nice. And we had a really good waiter and some good food. And then we left about 7:15 and got over to the church and staked our claim on the seats and had a nice mass, Christmas Eve mass. And then we left about 9:05 and then got back home to sort of chilled a little bit, and then the kids went to bed, and my wife and I, we wrapped our presents to each other and then went to bed before Santa came. And then woke up in the morning for Christmas morning. Kids came downstairs, and we did our stockings. We opened presents. My wife made her famous Christmas meals that she always does. These little, I can't name the top of it, but it's like a French toast thing and a sausage and egg thing. So it was pretty good. And then we just sort of spent the rest of the day just with our new stuff and just hanging out and chilling and relaxing. We had we had Christmas pajamas. Everybody had the same ones. The boys had this one. The girls had a different one. Called my mom, talked to her before she left to go down to my sister's. So, all in all, pretty nice. I got some good stuff. I got some movies. I got some books. I got some candy. I got a lot of clothes, which is what I need. I got some new sunglasses, which I'm really excited for. But no, nothing really, major exciting, and everyone was fine. So now here I am doing this show on Christmas night, and that's our Christmas. So that's what's going on. So that's what's going on with us. We also drove around and looked at the lights after Mass on Christmas Eve a little bit. That was kind of fun to do also. Today on Christmas Day, the 10 billion Webb telescope, which is going to replace Hubble, launched and is presently in orbit. It's going to start working really soon here. So that's good. We're going to start getting some clearer views of astronomical events and some nicer looks at things. That's pretty cool. Cheetos has a limited Nashville hot flame flavor now for their Cheetos. I guess Nashville barbecue is a little bit hotter than normal stuff. Little Debbie Christmas treat cakes, which is a treat that some of you might have gotten by now. They can't be able to find them anymore. Probably they're going to go to Little Debbie hearts and stuff like that. But it's been turned into an ice cream, so you might be able to find some of that left over. I doubt that they're going to move out any of the Christmas stuff. They'll probably discount it and all that and that crazy like that. Roasted turkey Pringles is a new flavor of Pringles. They say it tastes exactly like roasted turkey, so that's interesting. Again, it's chemicals, man. It's chemicals. My wife deals with them all the time, so she could tell you exactly what the chemical is that tastes like roasted turkey. Dunkin' Donuts is releasing something called a coffee bar, which is a kind of coffee flavored candy bar sort of thing, different flavored stuff. So that'll crave, if those who crave some easy caffeine but don't want coffee, there you go. You got yourself a coffee bar. Captain Crunch Berry-tastic pancake mix, which actually has cereal pieces in it, is a new thing now. So you can make pancakes out of Captain Crunch crunch berries. The funny thing about that is there's a nice little cafe in Baltimore that does a Captain Crunch French toast, which is kind of famous. So that's pretty cool. This one caught me by surprise. Flaming Hot Cool Ranch Doritos. Now we have the regular Flaming Hot Doritos, but now there's a Flaming Hot Cool Ranch Doritos, which I guess is I guess it kind of makes sense because you're going to want to have that buffalo flavor with the Cool Ranch, because when you eat buffalo wings, you can dip it in ranch sauce usually, which is supposed to cool it off a little bit. So I guess that's what they were going with here. It just seems like a kind of a weird sort of flavor, but in the end, I guess it really isn't. If you think about it a little bit. Now we have Cocoa Puff cereal, and now we're going to have Swiss Miss presents Cocoa Puff cereal with Swiss Miss hot chocolate, hot cocoa mix in the Cocoa Puffs themselves for a even more chocolatey, delicious hot cocoa flavored sort of event. Cinnamon Sugar Krispies is the new flavor for Rice Krispies. I think my favorite is still the frosted Rice Krispies, which I don't think you can find anymore. It's kind of your regular Rice Krispies, but it has like sort of frosted, like marshmallowy sort of maybe vanilla flavor thing. Actually tastes pretty good. Black Forest Cake M&Ms, which aren't supposed to come out until Valentine's Day, have been spotted out in the wild somewhere. So you might be able to find early releases of Black Forest Cake M&Ms, which is definitely a different type of flavor. International Delights is releasing a ready-to-drink Reese's iced coffee, which I think is absolutely outstanding, and I might have to get that for myself. Eggo Frosted Maple Pop-Tarts are also a big deal coming out really soon, too. That actually looks really, really good. Wendy's Frosty Chocolatey cereal. Wendy's is getting involved in the cereal battles now with their chocolatey Frosty flavored cereal. So that's pretty good. Crunchy Cookie M&Ms are another new M&M flavor you're going to be getting in the next year or so. I doubt that they're going to have this anymore since Christmas night is almost done. But you could go to Starbucks and get a Santa Claus Frappuccino. I don't think you'll be able to get it now, but you could have before. So that was a kind of interesting thing. So I'm just going down to see if there's any other. White chocolate strawberry cream chocolates from Dove are coming, I believe, for Valentine's Day. So you get a white chocolate strawberry flavored cream from Dove chocolates. Could be an interesting, sexy flavor, I guess. Swiss Miss also is going to be releasing a salted caramel hot chocolate. And I need to find that for myself so I can try some of that. Particularly what might be good is I like to put hot cocoa in my coffee and make sort of a mocha flavor. That would be a pretty good flavored mocha flavor. If I can find it, that would be great. Oreos has a hot chocolate also. It's their mint hot chocolate, which I'm not the biggest chocolate and mint fan. If you've watched the show before, I've told you the stories why. It's Thanksgiving and Andy's Candies. We're not going to talk about that anymore. But, it kind of makes an interesting sort of sense. A mint chocolate, hot chocolate by Oreo. Fruity Pebble flavored Mrs. Butterworth syrup is a definite interesting sort of thing. Hershey's caramel whipped cream. Caramel pretty much goes good with anything, really. Dr. Pepper, A&W Root Beer, and Orange Crush now are flavored candy canes. So if you want to have a candy cane tastes like Dr. Pepper, Orange Crush, or A&W Root Beer, that would be the best thing for it. And I'm missing one here. I'll probably find it again. Yeah, we'll cover it at another time. I know I wrote it down, though. Did I? Yeah, I must have. I just can't find it right now. So what I'm going to do one quick little perusal down here, see if I can find it. I can probably do it by off the top of my head. Maybe I didn't write it down. I guess I didn't write it down. Oreo is going to have 2 new flavors coming out. They're going to have it's triple chocolate and it's toffee crunch. So those are the new ones coming from 2022. So that's should be intriguing. The ultimate there it is. Ultimate chocolate Oreo and toffee crunch Oreo to kick off 2022. I guess ultimate chocolate Oreo would be probably like 3 or 4 different types of chocolate. You're gonna have the chocolate cookie and like the 2 flavored chocolate cream sort of thing. So that's pretty interesting. The Northern Lights will be visible very soon. Maybe not as far south as where I am, but possibly a little bit further south than they usually are due to a massive solar storm that's going to be heading our way very shortly. So keep your eye out for that. The Batman animated series is going to be revived as a audio drama with the original cast. I guess they're either going to have new episodes in the original cast or just going to do the voiceovers and you're not going to see the animation. I mean, I guess it makes sense. Over in England, Doctor Who has a big following in their audio dramas. And I guess, podcasting, stuff like that, you can really do anything you want right now to do that. The new Batgirl movie, which is currently filming, which is going to be released on HBO Max. A look at the cast list had an extraordinary cast member that no one was expecting, and are surprised by it. Michael Keaton's Bruce Wayne Batman is going to be in the Batgirl movie in some form or another. So he's continuing his Batman reunion tour, I guess it is, to go on with that. We got our cat a present for the first time in a long time. We got a bunch of catnip mice. And before we wrapped it up, we had it in our bedroom, and the kitty was in our room the other night, and she was really alert. She was sniffing. She smelled it on the air, but it was like in a spot that you would expect her to be able to smell it. So we wrapped it up, and then we opened it. One of the first rows we opened, and we played with it, and she went absolutely bonkers for it. So that was a lot of fun for her. But as I was getting for the show today, I ran across this story about a Nerf catnip disc blaster for cats. So now there's going to be the little Nerf blaster things that you've used before now will be dosed in catnip, and you can shoot them at your cat, and they'll go crazy for them because the catnip's on it. So, or make your cat go after it. It's kind of fun. So that is very, very cool. Pickles galore. I'm not a pickle fan, even though my nickname is Dill Pickle. But there are this week alone, there was a story about dill pickles, chocolate-covered dill pickles, dill pickle cotton candy, and pickles on peanut butter sandwiches, all of which sound disgusting to me, so I'm not going to further talk about that anymore. But yeah, that doesn't sound good to me. The Punisher is getting a new comic book series in March, and the cover looks as though, for the first issue, looks as though he's going to be getting away from his skull-headed logo, whatever thing, costume, because it has been usurped by bad cops who go around and vigilantes and who kill people for no reason, and they praise the Punisher for doing that stuff, which is they lose the point completely of what's going on with that. But it looks like there's going to be a new costume change for Punisher that's no longer going to have the big white skull on it, so that's good. The Baltimore Ravens, my team, continue to have all kinds of struggles. Last week, they went up against the Green Bay Packers and what looked like it was going to be a massive blowout. We had our second-string quarterback, Huntley, playing, and we lost majority of our secondary to COVID, and we almost won the game. Again, we did a stupid two-point conversion at the end, which failed, and we lost by 1 point, 31-30 again. So that was dumb. And then this week I was like, okay, Lamar's still hurt, so I'll be excited to see what Huntley can do against Cincinnati Bengals, which is a huge game for the Ravens' chances of being in the playoffs. And then Huntley comes down with COVID, and Lamar cannot go. So now we have a third-string quarterback by the name of Josh Johnson, a guy who's been in the league for almost 12, 15 years, hasn't started a game in forever, is going to be starting against the Bengals tomorrow. So, yeah. Since I've only got about 5 minutes left in Christmas here, I'm going to talk about this real quick. Now, everybody says Die Hard is a Christmas movie. I'm not really with that. It's a movie that takes place on Christmas Eve, actually. But I have a specific picture in my head of what a Christmas movie should be. And it does tick off some of the stuff, but it doesn't tick off all of it. So I cannot come right out and say that it is a Christmas movie. Now, the one big thing that keeps it maybe from it is the fact that in a Christmas movie, a proper one, some type of miracle has to happen. Now, in the first one, the miracle you could conceivably say is Bruce Willis survived the attack on Nakatomi Plaza by himself. I don't buy it. It didn't quite go for it. And then you could say the miracle was when the FBI shut the power down and the bad guys were able to break into the safe behind all their preparations, but they knew that was going to happen also. So it wasn't really a miracle. Instead, Die Hard 2 is probably the more Christmassy of the movie because it covers that. It takes place at Christmas. It's basically the same setup, except it being in a building. You're spread out a little more. It's an airport, and he has more people helping him out this time than he did in the first one. And the miracle takes place, spoiler alert, near the end, is when after a big fight with the villains, he gets knocked off of the plane, but he's able to tear open the gas tank. And so it's trailing gas on the ground right before the plane is taking off, that the bad guys are going to escape. And of course, Bruce Willis' John McCain has a lighter and lights the gas trail and says, "Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker." And the fire flies across the ground and then up into the air and blows up the airplane, and the rubble, and the rest of the fire comes down on the ground. Now, the big story is that airplanes have been circling over Washington, D.C. because their instruments have been messed with, and they don't know how close the ground is, and they're going to start losing fuel. And so they can see the fire lines and know where the ground is and play it by ear, and are able to gauge stuff and are able to land airplanes in this thing. And that's where the miracle comes into play, because I don't think that was something he was thinking about. It's possible maybe because he's on airplanes, stuff like that, but I think it just, at the heat of the moment, something hit him, and he realizes what he could do. That's just my quick opinion. I don't have a lot of time. If I did it earlier in the day and I could sit down and actually have a discussion, I could probably do a whole episode about Christmas movies and what constitutes Christmas movies, what doesn't. And maybe I'll do that maybe next year if I'm in a better mood for it. But I wanted to get that in there before Christmas ended, which is about 2 minutes. Also, real quick, the new episode of Hawkeye came out. It's the final one of potentially the first season, though there was no second season announced. And it wrapped up the storyline that's been going on, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. We get our first appearance of, actual full-on lines and big scenes with Vincent D'Onofrio's Kingpin coming back. And according to all reports, he is the same one from Daredevil. Apparently, he was blipped out during the blip, and when he came back, his empire was in shambles, and now he's just trying to get it back. That's why he seems a lot weaker than usual, but he's still the massive muscle that he is, and almost unstoppable. So we have his appearance, and we learn that Kate's mom is the big bad. Really, she's the one who was working for Kingpin, put the assassins on, or hired, Yelena to kill Hawkeye, and she wants to get out of the Kingpin's underworld because she wants to spend more time with her daughter, Kate, and Kingpin isn't going to have that, so he decides to have her assassinated at her Christmas party. It's Christmas Eve. Hawkeye and Kate, they build some new trick arrows, and they get ready to go to the party to keep an eye on Kate's mom, because they know that she is going to be assassinated by the Kingpin, so they want to keep an eye open. They've got their LARPer friends to come join them and do some reconnaissance and stuff like that around and help them keep the peace and stuff like that. We find out that the wicked stepdad, or soon-to-be stepdad of Kate's, who Kate doesn't like, is actually really a good guy and not a bad guy. So that's kind of good to see that. He is playing a character called the Swordsman, which isn't really stated in the show, but the fans know that that's who he really is. And Echo is beginning to doubt everything about herself, and decides to really get into the face of her handler and learn the truth about it. And she decides to go after the Kingpin when she learns the truth. And the Kingpin has a brutal fight with Kate, but Kate's able to beat him real quick with explosive arrows. The tracksuit mafia, there's a big battle scene on the roller, on the ice skating rink at Rockefeller Center, which is a fun scene also. And then Echo meets up with Kingpin in an alley and shoots him, but we don't see if his body has dropped, whatever. That happened in the comics, and he was just blinded for a while, so I highly doubt that Kingpin is dead. We don't know if she shot in the air or whatever, or she actually did shoot him thinking he's dead and is going to move on. Maybe we'll find out more about that when Echo gets her own show sometime next year, or not next year, 2023, I should say. So that was good. And how Hawkeye got back home in time with Kate and Lucky the pizza dog in tow for Christmas Day. He was able to get the wristwatch, which belongs to his wife, Laura, which also reveals that she, was Mockingbird and was an agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. and was Mockingbird, but she retired. Now, everybody on the internet's like, no, there's already a Mockingbird in it. The Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D.'s one. It's like, well, there can be more than one Mockingbird. There's more than one James Bond. There's more than one Phantom, stuff like that. So it might just be a number. So they know it's a line of work. So they know that something's going to happen. And if they die, they want to have another Mockingbird in its place so that it seems like that they don't die, that sort of thing. So that was kind of interesting to see all that. And then the mid-credit sequence was the entirety of the musical number in Rogers Musical, which was written by Mark Scheinman, who did the Book of Mormon and the South Park movie and Team America music, and did the music for Hairspray and the songs for Hairspray, the musical. So that was fun to see that, even though everybody is hating on that because they all wanted to see, we wanted to see, what's new with Kate and, what's going to, a future storyline, stuff like that. No, I was fine with it. I thought it was great. So I thought Hawkeye was an amazing series and very happy to see it. And it's the last Marvel one for 2021. We don't know what the first one for 2022 will be. I'm almost betting it's going to be She-Hulk because Miss Marvel has been pushed back to later in the year. So I think it's going to go She-Hulk, Moon Knight, and then I think maybe Miss Marvel after that, and then Secret Invasion or they're going to flip-flop somewhere around there because those are all the ones that are going on right now. So we'll see what happens with those. So that's a good thing going on there. So next Wednesday, the Book of Boba Fett starts. So we get a new Star Wars series starting next Wednesday. So I'll be back next week with my review of that. It probably won't be New Year's Day because we will be at my in-laws' house on New Year's Day, and our Christmases there tend to last till really late at night, and I'm probably really, really tired, so I might end up doing it on the 2nd. Probably would make more sense that Sunday. So my first show of 2022 should be on January 2nd. So that kind of works out, doesn't it? 2022. 1-2-2-2. So I think I will just go ahead and say that the Ravens are playing the Steelers that day. No, the Rams. They're playing the Rams that day in Baltimore. So we'll see. By the time they're probably not going to be even, and they're not even in the playoffs right now. They're on the outside looking in, but they're probably not going to get anywhere close. So that's good in that. Wheel of Time also had their season finale. That one's been renewed for a second season. We know that for sure. And it brought a end to the storyline with the with Moraine leading the True Dragon Reborn to face off against the Dark Lord. Meanwhile, the rest of the gang is getting ready for war as the Dark Lord is sending his troops to attack the city, and as the beginning of a long battle, a stretch of trying to take over the world. And a thief in the night comes and steals a specific item that the dragon will need to finish off the evil person. So that's what the next series is going to be about, the hunt for the horn. And we get the first look of Rand trying to tune. I call it Tune from Dark City. So they have that going on. So all in all, it was okay episode. It was okay series. I enjoy it enough. It's enough that I think I'm invested enough that I'll want to see what's going to happen in season 2. My wife was not as happy with the finale because she's read the books and she's upset with some of the choices they made in the finale. So we will see how that all wraps up. So the new season of Wheel of Time probably will not hit till 2023, since they have to write the scripts, they have to film them, they have to do the special effects, they have to edit them and do all that stuff. So I would assume that Emma, it is coming back for a second season, and it did extraordinarily well. So hopefully Amazon will boost their budget a little bit. The big Amazon release for next year is going to be the Lord of the Rings prequel TV show, which comes out in the summer sometime, I believe. So I'll probably discuss that when that rolls around as well. So all in all, pretty good week, I think. Now that Hawkeye's over, we're obviously going to start watching Book of Boba Fett, and then after that, we'll take the place of Wheel of Time. I think we're going to see Good Omens, which is on Amazon, which I've been wanting to see for a while because they're working on a second season for that. So it'd be fun to see the first one and see what's going on with that. So there's that. I think it's enough time now. Excuse me. Tom Holland is in a new film coming out next year based on the video game Uncharted. And a new trailer came out this week. Sort of just showing the same old stuff that we've seen before. Plus, there are some new bits and pieces here and there, which ups the ante of the show a little bit. So it makes it a movie, I should say. So it looks like a fun, entertaining action film. And it's going to be good to see Tom Holland doing something else besides Spider-Man, working with Mark Wahlberg. And everybody been dying to see an Uncharted movie for a while now. So now it finally is there. And you know what? Actually, I feel like stirring the pot, so I'm going to cross out my political stuff. I don't really feel like discussing that right now because I'm getting tired and I got a lot more to do. 37 minutes in, and I want to get to talking about something really fun. I saw Spider-Man No Way Out last weekend. No Way Home. And it was absolutely amazing, stunning, awesome, a great capper to the first trilogy of Tom Holland. It's so good that today it crossed $1 billion worldwide. So it is a $1 billion moneymaker and is now in the top 5 highest grossing movies of all time. And it's only been the second weeks, and we still have Christmas to get through a New Year. So it could absolutely start inching closer to that top spot. So we'll see if that actually happens. Sony bosses are looking to push Spider-Man No Way Home and possibly even Tom Holland for Oscar considerations. I think that's a little bit of a swing for the fences. I just don't see Hollywood doing that because they don't like that type of stuff. Return of the King notwithstanding. And earlier, the Raiders of the Lost Arks and the Star Wars and the Close Encounters and the Jaws and stuff like that, they all got nominations and stuff like that. But in most recent times, there has been not really any sort of, science fiction, comic book movie sort of thing. I mean, Black Panther got a little bit of love, but not much. So I just don't see this, going anywhere because Hollywood voters are a different animal than the regular people. Regular people would vote as Best Picture of the Year by far because they don't watch a lot of these other films. But I digress. Anyway, I love the storyline. Let me discuss the stuff I can talk about, and then I'll give you a spoiler warning. I love the, basically, it takes place almost exactly right after Far From Home, where the whole world now knows Peter Parker's Spider-Man and how that reveal affects him. And that leads to the first part of the film really is him trying to survive that. He gets arrested. he gets charged with some stuff, but they're not going to stick. They have to move their houses because everybody knows where he lives now, so they end up moving in with Happy. Him and Aunt May have broken up. Aunt May was just treating it as a summer fling, and Happy had fallen in love with her, so it's kind of fun to see the opposite, where the man is pining for the woman, and the woman's just sort of like, yeah, whatever, dude. But in the end, he came through and allowed them to use his apartment that nobody knows about, that they were there to give them some privacy. And it's interesting to see how Peter is treated when he goes back to school. There are people who believe that Mysterio was correct, so they have a lot of anger towards Peter, and just a lot of stress and stuff like that is on him. And his new budding relationship with Mary Jane is starting to get a little bit of, or MJ, I should say. It's not Mary Jane, it's Michelle Josephine or something like that. With MJ, it's getting a little. It's she's strong and wants to be with him, and he wants to be with her, but it's hard with all the stuff they're doing and going on. A quick spoiler real quick. One of the fun sequences is when they need a lawyer. The lawyer is, yes, one of the most worst kept secrets of many of this movie. Charlie Cox returned as Matt Murdock, Daredevil. Kevin Feige, ahead of this movie, declared that he would be Charlie Cox would be the MCU version of Daredevil whenever they came up with an idea to get Daredevil in there, and then he shows up in the Spider-Man movie. And a great scene. He's in it. It's a cameo sequence where he's talking to Aunt May and Peter about the lawsuits against them, and Happy's involved with it also. And there are people who are pro Spider-Man and who are anti-Spider-Man. And one of the anti-Spider-Man people throws a brick through the window, and Matt just catches it without even looking. And they're like, "How did you do that?" Because he sees blind, says, "I'm a really good lawyer." And that was, great to see Charlie Cox's Daredevil. So we get Vincent D'Onofrio's Wilson Fisk, Kingpin, and Charlie Cox's Daredevil. And then after that cameo, he's not in the movie anymore. And then it's revealed by Kevin Feige again that Charlie Cox is going to play a big, big role in the She-Hulk TV show, rolling out probably early next year. It's probably going to be the first Marvel series of 2022, I would assume at this point. He's going to play a big role in the series as both a lawyer, and we're supposed to see him probably in his yellow debut sort of costume. So that'll be interesting to take to see how that's going to go with that. So Peter's life is getting all mucked up, but now his friends Ned and MJ are getting involved in it as well, because they are known accomplices or friends of his, and all three of them are trying to get into MIT because they're seniors in high school now. Even though they were all blipped out, they are now no, they didn't age anything, even though it is 5 years later, but they are in their senior year now. And they're trying to go get into MIT, which is their dream school. They want to all go together and live together and be together and stuff like that. But all three of them are rejected. Peter's rejected, obviously, for being Spider-Man and bringing too much heat on it. And MJ and Ned are rejected because of their close connection to it. And that pisses Peter off also, because that means that his friends who had nothing to do with anything, they just wanted to be his friends and his girlfriend, they're being affected by this as well. So he can't let that happen. So he goes to Doctor Strange and asks, as you see in the trailer, asks him to do a spell that removes everybody's memory of him being Spider-Man. And before anyone says anything, this is not an evil Doctor Strange. It's not a possessed Doctor Strange. It's not a Skrull pretending to be Doctor Strange. It is not Mephisto as Doctor Strange. This is regular Doctor Strange in this movie. There's no secret about his character. Again, I'm going to be covering spoilers in this Spider-Man review. So if you haven't seen the movie yet and don't want to hear the spoilers, you might want to either fast forward through here, or if you're watching live, just toss it out and then come back later. So he sets up it should be an easy spell, but everybody's going to forget that he's Spider-Man, including MJ and Ned and Aunt May and Happy and all the Avengers. But, and that kind of angers him a little bit because he wants them all to remember, because it gives him a chance to, have somebody he can confide with. He just doesn't want everybody else in the world to know. He just wants a certain amount of people. So he keeps interrupting Doctor Strange, who keeps changing the spell, but that causes some problems, as, again, you've seen in the trailer. And before it does any damage, Doctor Strange is able to capture it. So people still remember still know he's Peter Parker. But now the walls to the multiverse have broken open, and now everybody who knows that Peter Parker is Spider-Man from all the different multiverses is coming to this one. And so that includes, as we start hearing, stories about what's going on. So the first person Peter encounters is Dr. Octopus, Alfred Molina from the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man series. And they have a fight there. And then Willem Dafoe's Green Goblin from the Tobey Maguire world is entered in as well. Doctor Strange has come up with a way to contain them. Spider-Man just has to, flick something at them, and they will go into his little jail he has in the basement of his Sanctum Sanctorum until they figure out a way to send them back to their dimensions. And they already have the Lizard from the Andrew Garfield Spider-Man is in there in the cages as well. And Doctor Strange has stuff he's got to do. So he has Peter and MJ and Ned work together to try to hunt down these other members of the multiverse that are coming through. And so they're able to find, able to use magic and stuff like that to find where these new portals are coming. So then the next one Peter meets up with is the Andrew Garfield Electro, played by Jamie Foxx. And Sandman from the Tobey Maguire one pops up at the same time. And both of them get taken and put into the prison. And so we start learning that they have all been taken away from like the point of right before they die, something like that. And that Spider-Man's the cause of all their deaths. And Doctor Strange is going to be able, now they're all captured, he's going to be able to send them back to their dimensions and shut down everything. Everything will be copacetic again. But Peter feels guilty, doesn't want them to die, so he figures out a way to try to help them so that when they go back, that they don't die and aren't killed by Spider-Man. So he works to try and fix all their problems, everything. Find a formula to oppose the darkness in Willem Dafoe's Green Goblin, and figure out a fix for Dr. Octopus's microchip, and make Sandman solid again, and make Electro not have electrical powers anymore, and turn the Lizard back to Dr. Kurt Connors and stuff like that. So they work all hard on trying to do that. But it doesn't quite go as expected. And Willem Dafoe, whose Norman Osborn had been in control of the body for a while, is now possessed by the evil goblin and ends up wrecking all the plans. Plus, Jamie Foxx's Electro feels a new form of electricity, and he can feel to be more powerful. And he doesn't want his powers to be removed either. They fix Alfred Molina's thing. So Alfred Molina's a good guy, and the Lizard doesn't want to get done right away, but he's hiding in a van, doesn't want to get cured right away. And Sandman just wants to get back so he can see his daughter, and so on and so forth. So Norman Osborn goes crazy and starts attacking everybody, and Electro starts attacking everybody, and it becomes a big thing. And in the ensuing battle, spoiler alert, Aunt May dies. And not before she gives with great power comes great responsibility. And Peter feels like it's his fault. If he wouldn't have tried to help these people, she wouldn't be dead. So basically what they're trying to do with this trilogy is Uncle Ben is never mentioned in this trilogy, ever. Not once. And this is his true origin, in my opinion. No Way Home is the Spider-Man's true origin to the Spider-Man we know and love. The Spider-Man who's been in these 2.5 movies has been Iron Man Jr. He's trying to find his own way, and this is the beginning of that. With the great power comes great responsibility, and feeling guilty for the death of a loved one, and now wanting to have the vengeance to go and kill and try to control that darkness. And meanwhile, J. Jonah Jameson continues to call him a menace and is getting proof of it. And then he's filming all the stuff that's going on and proves that, Spider-Man is a bad guy and stuff like that. And so Spider-Man goes away all upset and distraught. And MJ and Ned find out what's happening. So they try to figure out a way to get him back. And also before all this happened, Spider-Man was able to trap Doctor Strange in like an endless loop because they battled in the mirror universe. So Doctor Strange wouldn't get involved with all this. So now they had stolen Doctor Strange's portal thing, the things he wears on his hand, and Ned now controls him. And he has some magic in him, and he opens a portal. And here comes another spoiler. And they say, we want to find Peter, and they open a portal to where Peter is, and they see an alleyway. And in flies Spider-Man that is not their Spider-Man, is in a costume they've never seen before. And then the mask comes off, and it's Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man from Amazing Spider-Man. So there's a spoiler right there. So yes, he is in the movie. There's a funny scene when they're MJ wants him to prove that he's Spider-Man and not something else. And goes on like that. And then another portal opens up, and spoiler alert, Tobey Maguire Spider-Man shows up. This time he is older Peter Parker, dressed in regular clothing. His suit is on underneath him, but he's sort of like you can tell he's lived a while because Tobey Maguire's aged since 2001 when the first Spider-Man came out. It's been 20 years, so he's aged 20 years since that point. So you couldn't just say he was still a teenager. So you have to have the more mature, grown-up Tobey Maguire, and then sort of the early 30s, late 20s Andrew Garfield, and then you got the young Tom Holland, and that's what they're setting up. So the two Spider-Men and MJ and Ned find Tom Holland, who's distraught and all that stuff, and the three of them decide to work together to try to save the villains and know that they can attract them to one spot and get them there, and then they can cure them all. So the three of them use their brains to find the cures for the villains. And then the finale takes place at the Statue of Liberty, which is being rebuilt to feature a Captain America. And you see Toby and Andrew and Tom all in action, working together, taking on villains and curing them and doing all kinds of stuff and having really cool conversations. And just it's a wonderful, wonderful film. And I'm not going to ruin some of the other stuff that I've already ruined enough, but there's some other really good beats in the finale which are really, really good. But in the end, what happens is they're able to cure everybody, but Doctor Strange is able to escape his portal. But he's trying to do the spell again, and all of the multiverse portals are opening at one time. So millions of people who know Peter Parker, Spider-Man, is starting to come into New York City. And Doctor Strange can't shut down the portals. So basically, Tom Holland has to make a choice, and he says, we have to make sure that nobody ever knows that Peter Parker existed. And that includes MJ and Ned and the Avengers and Happy Hogan. It would be like he was a race, like he's a Men in Black sort of thing. And so Doctor Strange does the spell. While he's doing the spell, Peter's able to say goodbye to MJ and Ned. And then the spell happens, and the portals closed because the portals were there only because people who knew Peter Parker was Spider-Man were coming through. Now that nobody knows who the hell Peter Parker is, those portals close and nobody's in there, and everybody goes back to their dimensions because they don't know who Peter Parker Spider-Man is, so there's no reason for them to be there. And so Peter's all alone now. He has no family. He doesn't have the Avengers. He doesn't have Happy. He doesn't have MJ or Ned. So he gets his own dumpy apartment, much like the Peter Parker in the comics. He gets his GED so he can maybe possibly get into MIT now. And then he decides that he promised MJ that he would come find her and make her remember who he was. So he goes back to the coffee shop she works at, or donut shop, I should say, she works at. And her and Ned are there, and they both get into MIT while he's there. And he's getting ready to try to remind her who he is to MJ. But then he changes his mind because things are working out. They're going to MIT, and it's best for her to be able to move on with her life and not be dealing with him. So he makes another sacrifice, even though he loves MJ. And then he leaves, and then he makes his own costume with a sewing machine and everything, like the regular Spider-Man does. And the final scene, of course, is this new and he has a police radio so he can hear where crime taking place. So he goes and he is Spider-Man in the regular Spider-Man costume, and that's where it ends. The mid-credit sequence, here's a spoiler, had Tom Hardy's Venom, who, if you saw the end credit sequence of Venom 2 or the mid credit sequence of Venom 2, had him appear in the Peter Parker Spider-Man universe. I think you are to assume that Venom has run into a Spider-Man of some kind, because only people who knew Peter Parker was Spider-Man were showing up in these portals and showing up in these worlds, and that's how he disappeared and turned into that world. And so he's in Mexico trying to get answers about why he's there and what's going on. And the Venom is talking as well. And eventually, once the spell happens where everything is reversed, Venom and Eddie go back to whatever world they're in. But a piece of his symbiote stays in the Tom Holland universe. So there's a setup for potential. The new trailer could be the Venom of that, of the Tom Holland universe could make his first appearance coming up real soon. And then the end credit sequence was the Doctor Strange trailer, which they released later later in the week to detail the Multiverse of Madness movie coming out in May now. And we get to see the return of Wanda, Scarlet Witch. They mention WandaVision. And we see the return of Baron Mordo. We also see Dark Doctor Strange from the What If show. So What If is also connected to all this as well. And it looks really good. It's looks amazing. Looks like some major stuff is going to happen. Sam Raimi's directing it, so it's going to be a good one. So that's my take on things. I was going to do a deeper dive into Spider-Man, but at this point, I really don't feel like it. One thing I will say is I believe Andrew Garfield deserves a third Spider-Man movie just to wrap up his stuff. He did an amazing job in this movie, as did Tobey. But Tobey's had his trilogy, and he's older now. He's we learned that he and MJ are married in that world, so that's something. But Andrew Garfield absolutely deserves a third movie. I also truly believe, from just this experience, because I've never really watched the Andrew Garfield Spider-Man movies, which I'm going to go back and rectify that. I believe Andrew Garfield is probably maybe the best Peter Parker, because he's the only one of the three that gets the quipping. That's one of the things that makes Spider-Man Spider-Man, is his tendency to make bad jokes and puns while he's fighting, and nobody does that. Tobey doesn't do it, and Tom really didn't do it. Andrew was the only one who did that. So I think he had the best portrayal of Spider-Man, but we'll see. So I'm going to rewatch those movies, I think, or watch them, I should say, for the first time, and check those out. So that's that. Definitely go see it, though. I mean, I suggest you go see Far From Home. Watch Far From Home again. Homecoming, you don't really need to see as much because it really doesn't connect too much, but Far From Home really does. And No Way Home is outstanding. It's one of my favorite Spider-Man movies of all time. Deaths. Joan Didio, peerless prose stylist, died at the age of 87. A lot of people know who she was. I've never heard of her, but she's got a lot of influence and a lot of things. Nicholas Georgiade, who played Tough Rico Russell of the 1960s TV show The Untouchables. He died this week as well. Alicia Witt's parents were found dead after a wellness check on their house. Alicia Witt is an actress who was in Twin Peaks and Mr. Holland's Opus and been a bunch of other stuff as well. Her parents were found dead. No idea what the cause was for it this week. Cicely Tyson, an actress, which I'm surprised has not been getting more press, passed away this week at the age of 96. Paul Mitchell, co-founder of the Floaters, a 50s, 60s band, died this week. Bridget Hanley, actress who played Candy Pruitt in Here Comes the Bride, which was with Bobby Sherman, died at the age of 80. The last one. And Carlos Marin, Spanish baritone, member of Il Devo, died at the age of 53 this week as well. Whoops, didn't mean to do that. So that's our deaths for this week. In Florida, video surfaced of a raccoon attacking an iguana. Only in Florida, people. Only in Florida. Sixth grader Davon Johnson from Oklahoma performed the Heimlich maneuver on a classmate in his school. And then on his way home from school, he rescued an elderly woman from a burning house. So, this kid has been raised well to care for others and learn how to help where he can. And he should be applauded for that. Perfectly preserved baby dinosaur has been discovered curled up inside his egg. That could be an interesting look into history and also more proof that Jurassic Park could happen. Tesla cars can now diagnose themselves and pre-order parts if needed. Basically, the joke is like if it has a flat tire, it can order a new tire to replace the flat tire without the owner knowing that they ordered a tire to get it replaced. So what's going to make it stop from ordering stuff whatever it wants? So that's kind of funny. The Kellogg strike that went on for a while was finally resolved with the Kellogg's workers going back to work with better wages and increase in pay. So good on that. An X-rated mini golf course named Glory Holes has opened up in, I think, somewhere in the UK. And the video I was watching didn't go into any explicit details about why it was X-rated. All they said was there was a Snow White course, and there's also a bunch of stuff about David Bowie and Labyrinth in there as well. So I don't know if there's nudes in there doing stuff, or some of the holes are sexual in nature, but it is an 18-year-old or older can only go to this indoor miniature golf course called Glory Holes. So I don't know. Ryan Reynolds' local pizza place thinks that he's Ben Affleck, and he keeps pushing the narrative. So even though, he could have easily corrected and say, no, I'm not Ben Affleck, I'm Ryan Reynolds. He goes to that pizza place and pretends to be Ben Affleck. So I actually think that's actually kind of funny, to be honest. Scientists discover a meteorite that's older than the Earth. They believe it came from a protoplanet and landed on the Earth once the Earth cooled and became a planet. Some trailers that came out this week. The Northmen trailer, which is a Viking revenge action film from Robert Eggers, who did the movie Witch and the one about the lighthouse. So he's got this really weird eye of stuff. Pretty good cast, and it's a good Viking action film. We haven't seen that in a while. The trailer for the Harry Potter reunion on HBO Max popped up. It has the cast returning to Hogwarts set where they've got characters dressed up and character designs, and they're meeting up with their former co-stars and hugging and stuff like that. And then you have It looks like it's going to be discussion just between the big three without anybody else around, and then their discussions with other members of the cast and other things like that. So we saw that. Tiger Woods was in a car accident, I think, earlier this year. And people didn't think he was ever going to be able to play golf again, but he has rehabilitated himself. And he entered a tournament this past week with his son. It's like a father-son sort of tournament sort of thing. And his first time on the golf course since his accident, he and his son clinched second place, which isn't bad after, having to go through what he went through. So good on that as well. The Legion of Superheroes animated film from Brian Michael Bennis will be coming to HBO Max. Legion of Superheroes is one of the best superhero comics out there, and I think an anime film would do it more justice than a live action film because it is so fluid and there's so many characters and they all have so many different powers that it would be a extraordinarily high budget just for the special effects of their characters. So animated seems a whole lot better, to be honest. Dark Horse Comics was sold to a gaming giant named Embracer, the Embracer Group. They are hoping to turn a lot of the characters that Dark Horse Comics owns, like the Hellboys and the stuff like that, into motion pictures and or TV series. So I guess it's the big thing now is if and that's the sort of thing what happened when comics started getting big again in the early part of 2000. Everybody wanted to find their next comic book hero, and they would look to the independents to find stuff. Looks like this is happening again with this, so we'll see how that turns out. A pub landlord, a monarch, and a can't read that handwriting are needed for the island of Peel, which is a foreign island off of the coast of the UK. So they're looking for people to be a pub landlord, a monarch, and some other stuff as well. It's a small island. I guess it doesn't have doesn't have electricity or whatever. So it's kind of a neat little idea to see what could happen with that. Some local news: Phillips Crab House, a really famous seafood restaurant here in Maryland, has had a location in Ocean City, Maryland for 66 years. They're shutting it down this year, at the end of the year. So after 66 years, there's going to be no more Phillips in Ocean City, which is a shame because that's what a lot of people, when they go down to Ocean City, they all want to try to get a chance to go to Phillips. It's a shame. I've been there a couple times, I think, at Ocean City. So it's going to be a shame not to be able to go to, we don't go to Ocean City all that much anyway, so it's all right. Now we're talking about idiots. The Dallas QAnon cultists who believe that JFK Jr. is going to come back to life and become Donald Trump's running mate for the 2024 election and is going to be, but is also going to help to reinstate Trump as president now, have now decided that they're going to start drinking toxic chemicals from a common bowl. Again, the cult of QAnon appears to keep growing and growing. And I don't know what to say. Along the same lines, the QAnon people believe that Home Alone 2, a scene in Home Alone 2, proves that JFK Jr. is still alive. Their giant leap of faith is that JFK Jr. was killed in Dealey Plaza. He wasn't. His father was. JFK Jr. died in an airplane crash, but we're not going to use that right now. There's a scene in Home Alone 2 where Donald Trump gives directions to Macaulay Culkin in the Plaza Hotel. Dealey Plaza Hotel, proof that JFK Jr. is coming back and it's going to be Donald Trump's running mate. That's their mindset. That's what you're dealing with. That's the cultists. Now the cult is starting to strike back a little bit because that the fucking former guy whose name I haven't mentioned a few times, I may as well say it again. Trump has been announced at one of his gatherings that he has been boosted by the vaccine, and people booed him. Then he went and had an interview with Candace Owen, who was one of his staunch supporters and is trying to make herself look good by giving him layup questions to let him rail about, what the Trumpers like to hear him say, anti-racism and lock Hillary up and the election is false and so on and so forth. And the vaccines are bad. And after Candace Owen said that, he said, no, you're a fucking idiot. The vaccines work. You need to get vaccinated. And the Trumpers, the MAGA people who have been behind their king saying vaccinations are bad are now, they don't know what to do with themselves. One woman's like, I'm so upset. My life is a joke now. I don't know what's real and what isn't. I didn't get vaccinated because he said we shouldn't. And now he says we should. And that doesn't make sense. I don't want to get vaccinated because he said that it was bad, but he's vaxxed. So it's fucking with their heads. And I'm here for that. I think it's fucking awesome. Maybe get out of this fucking COVID shit. Maybe you're with your fucking dork ass king saying you should get fucking vaccinated. Maybe you should get vaccinated because you say everything, you do everything else he says, but this is the one thing that you're sort of like, I think I'm gonna disagree with you on that, and you're a fucking moron. A polar bear cub was born at a Scottish wildlife park, so it's good to see more polar bears. They're always good to come like that. Sticking with the UK, a huge UFO was spotted on live TV. In the UK, a guy was, talking head about something, and he was facing, by a window, and out the window you can see the town or cities and cars bustling by and stuff like that. And there's something weird flies in the background behind him, and it gets caught on live TV. British or Irish went to discovered remote islands before the Vikings did. So the Vikings aren't the great, according to this belief, aren't the great waterfaring people before. They believe the British and Irish beat them to a lot of these places that the Vikings claim are theirs, and they were the first people to go to. A money manager vanishes with a Chinese banker's $313 million. So basically robbed him of $313 billion. That's insane. Everything, Everywhere, All at Once is a new trailer for an absolutely mind-fuckery movie starring Michelle Yeoh and Jamie Lee Curtis. Michelle Yeoh plays a Chinese laundry owner who is going to war with a money manager played by, like a money collector, bill collector played by Jamie Lee Curtis. And Michelle Yeoh, I think I talked about this earlier, her character has the ability to traverse the multiverse and is able to live in all of her alternate reality lives, and they all come and live within her in the present day reality, and she's able to move around to all these different multiverses. So it looks kind of interesting and crazy. Tombstone was released in theaters on December 25th, 1993, 28 years ago. It is a very good action-packed retelling of the Wyatt Earp saga with Kurt Russell, Val Kilmer's Doc Holliday is outstanding. You also have Sam Elliott, Bill Paxton, and a whole big Jason Priestley's in it as well. John Corbett from Northern Exposure. It's a outstanding, I forget who some of the actresses are, but it's an outstanding version of the Wyatt Earp story. Came out the same year as Kevin Costner's Wyatt Earp movie as well. So of course it did. So who knows what lies within that. Excuse me. And finally, here on this no longer Christmas night, but now Boxing Day early morning, Scream is 25 years old. Came out on December 20th, 1996. I was at the movie theater on that day to see it on opening day. I remember that. It is 25 years old today. It's a great horror film, good late 90s cast, which helped, along with I Know What You Did Last Summer, which helps build up the craze of young adult late 90s horror films that sprung up around those two films, as well as the sequels to those films. as well. But you got like your urban legends and your disturbing behaviors and your other horror movies with, beautiful 90s TV stars. Like I know she did last summer, had Sarah Michelle Gellar, Jennifer Love Hewitt, Ryan Phillippe, and Freddie Prinze Jr. Scream had Neve Campbell, Courtney Cox, David Arquette, Jamie Kennedy, Matthew Lillard, Skeet Ulrich, and just a cast of hundreds. But it's a great horror film, and it continued to come out around Christmas time. The sequel came out either a year or so later, and then the third one came out a couple of years after that. So that is it for my last show of 2021. Next week will probably be on a Sunday because I'm busy all day Saturday. I'm not going to do it New Year's Eve, tell you that much. So farewell to 2021. It's been a rough year. Not as rough as 2020, but still rough, and things still aren't the best right now. But maybe things are getting a little bit better. We'll see where we are a year from now, but we are ready to restart. It is the 25th, now 26th of December, so we only have 6-7 days left in the year. So make the best of it. Enjoy your week off if you guys have off this week. If you have to go to work like I do, I know it's going to be hard, but try to focus on your work, get it done. Look forward to a nice 3-day weekend coming up. And then let's start 2022 with a fresh mindset and optimism and moving forward. Let's hope things get better. So for all of me, to all of you, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, Happy New Year. As I said, my next episode will probably be on January 2nd, so we've been through New Year's Eve and New Year's Day. So again, Happy New Year's. Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays. Be safe, enjoy yourselves, and get healthy. Get your booster, get vaccinated if you haven't gotten vaccinated already. Listen to Donald Trump. He says to get vaccinated. You did everything else he told you to do. Now get your fucking ass vaccinated. I'm getting boosted in 2022. Ciao, Bella. See ya 2022.